straight ahead on CCX News.
Asked us, did you know about this marshal that was killed in the line of duty in Osseo? And we had no idea.
A story lost in time, now remembered by Osseo police. Plus, a closer look at teens and opioid abuse. How big of a problem is it? We hear from drug prevention advocates. But first, a crash that serves as an important safety reminder to both drivers and bike riders. CCX News starts right now.
Hello and thanks for joining us. An 18-year-old Brooklyn Park woman is recovering after she was hit by a car while biking.
The accident happened at the intersection of County Road 81 and Brooklyn Boulevard. As Sonia Goins reports, the crash serves as an important safety reminder.
Around 8:30 Thursday morning, a driver was heading eastbound on County Road 81 when the driver somehow hit the bicyclist. Police say the 18-year-old woman suffered a broken leg, but otherwise should be okay. According to the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, there were 900 bike accidents in 2015. Most of those accidents occurred at a busy intersection.
One of the things that we hear is that bicyclists run stop signs or stoplights. What we know from the data is about 8% of the time bicyclists are cited in a crash for that. Minnesota
is one of the top biking states in the country. That's why there's more chances for bicyclists and motorists to collide.
I try to avoid major thoroughfares, where there's a lot of traffic.
Always look in the driver's eyes, make sure the driver sees you.
Drivers also have to be careful when approaching an intersection.
If you see a bike on the road, riding on the roadway before an intersection, you want to treat them like any other slow-moving vehicle. Give them lots of room to pass so that you don't accidentally hit or startle them.
Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota says bikers can avoid getting in a crash by making sure they are seen and that their bikes are in good working order. Bikes in poor condition can cause crashes. More than half of Minnesotans over the age of 18 ride bikes. With that number growing each day, it's a good reminder to play it safe.
We believe that Minnesota should be a state where bicycling is easy, safe, and fun for everyone.
Sonia Goins, CCX News.
Police say no charges are expected from the incident. For more information on bike safety, go to our website, ccxmedia.org.
At the state capitol, a break from budget negotiations. State leaders have gone fishing. Governor Mark Dayton will be joined by Republican leaders this weekend for the annual walleye opener. Meantime, there is progress on a transportation bill. Republican leaders agreed to plug in more money towards Metro Transit's $74 million budget deficit. Republican leaders also agreed to remove clauses banning local governments from funding new light rail lines without legislative approval.
A large housing development is planned near the Target campus in Brooklyn Park. A proposal from national home builder D.R. Horton went through the Planning Commission this week and is awaiting City Council approval. 55 single-family homes would be built on a 21-acre site just east of Winnetka Avenue and south of 109th. The houses would be in the $300,000 range, and construction could begin this summer.
We're pretty excited to have them. D.R. Horton built the Liberty Oaks neighborhood off of 101st and Zane about 10 years ago. So they've had a presence in the community and now they're back.
City planners say this will complete one of the last areas open for development in the city. More homes are also going up in the northwest part of Plymouth. This is near the new Meadow Ridge Elementary School. The Plymouth City Council this week gave final approval to 21 homes, the second phase of a 67-home development called Meadow Ridge Ponds. Construction will begin this spring.
One state drug expert tells CCX News that drug-related deaths from painkiller medications and heroin is growing faster than she has ever seen before. In Hennepin County, overdose-related deaths from opioids rose more than 57% in just 1 year's time, growing to 153 deaths in 2016. It's an epidemic that affects all ages, but there's a focus on preventing the problem among youth.
We know that 90% of adults who have addiction issues started using before the age of 18, and the longer that we can keep them off drugs, the more likely they are to have a life that is free from addiction.
A conference held at Hennepin Tech took a comprehensive approach to the problem. What often starts with addiction to painkiller medications can escalate to heroin. And experts say everyone has a role to play in prevention and in treatment. One former state director of Minnesota's Drug Abuse Division says medications do exist to help lessen the cravings that addicts face, but they're not always offered up as a treatment.
We wouldn't think of not giving a diabetic insulin. We wouldn't think of not giving a person with depression medication because it's just a medication. They're just going to abuse it. No, we use medications to treat various behavioral disorders, and we need to join the 21st century and bring them to bear for people with opiate addiction.
A record high 17% of admissions to addiction treatment programs last year were for heroin. This weekend will be an important one for the Osseo Police Department.
Osseo Police plan to travel to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. to honor one of their own.
The gloves just kind of give it a nice clean look as well.
Class A uniforms are considered the best a police officer can wear. These Class A's are brand new.
And then the 6-pointed star in the middle references back to our marshal days.
Because Osseo Police knew an important event was coming up when they needed to dress their best.
Being able to honor the man that basically for 100 years was forgotten about.
A story lost in time shows it's never too late to do the right thing.
The Law Enforcement Memorial Association of Minnesota came to us and asked us, did you know about this marshal that was killed in the line of duty in Osseo? And we had no idea.
More than 100 years ago, 44-year-old Marshal James Gardner patrolled the farming village of Osseo. Reports say he was shot in cold blood, helping protect a wife and her children from her possibly mentally ill and drunk husband. A domestic disturbance call then that held just as much danger as it does now.
Domestic situations are probably the most dangerous and frankly most common call that police officers go on. It just highlights how dangerous the job can be.
They didn't lay their life down for their own family. They didn't lay their life down for their own relatives. This is someone putting their life on a line day in and day out for people they don't even know.
2 years ago, a local officer discovered that Gardner's name was not on the National Memorial in Washington, D.C.
So we knew at that point that we needed to make sure that we could get him on that wall to recognize the sacrifice he made here for our citizens.
So the department worked to get Marshal James Gardner's name inscribed. This weekend, the entire department will travel to see it happen.
We owe it to them. You know, for somebody to lay their life on the line for anyone, I don't care if it's 2 days later or 200 years later, we owe that to them.
The police department raised about $7,000 to pay for the trip and the cost to cover officer shifts while the regular crew is away. Marshal James Gardner is buried in East Bethel, Minnesota, and he has no known living relatives. And of course, we'll follow up on that one next week when they get back. Still ahead on CCX News, a standout student who keeps his teachers and fellow classmates in the know.
Plus, the 13th annual Osseo-Maple Grove Softball Extravaganza is coming up Friday night in Maple Grove. We will have a preview.
But first, awaiting a $1 million weather weekend, temperatures could reach 70 on Friday.
Welcome back. People get their news these days, of course, in a variety of ways, from television to newspapers to social media.
Today, Delane Cleveland introduces us to a standout student from Wayzata High School who plays a big role in keeping teachers and staff members informed.
At Wayzata High School,
let's get started.
Students and staff members have a variety of ways to consume information.
Good morning, Wayzata.
They have a school news show called Wayzata News Break.
Hey Drew, what's been your most embarrassing moment of high school?
A newspaper called the Trojan Tribune, and a student council YouTube channel featuring videos of dozens of activities.
Last night at midnight.
Behind each platform,
I'm really involved with school.
You'll find Drew Smith, a junior at the high school.
I've always kind of loved working with technology, and it kind of started back in the 5th grade where I helped with producing our elementary news show.
In addition to news,
I think I can make it tomorrow night. I'm pretty sure I can.
Drew is also a yearbook editor and a member of the student council.
And it just makes the high school experience so much better.
Talk to staff members at Wayzata.
2 years ago, he told me that it was his goal here at Wayzata to become the most involved.
And they'll describe a student who has evolved into a leader with a strong work ethic.
Drew is a standout student because he's become so involved. He has made it a point to reach as many students here at Wayzata as possible, and to make sure that all student events are covered, whether it be co-curricular, extracurricular, in the classroom.
Do we have a graphic for that one?
In the future, Drew hopes to become involved in journalism as a photographer or videographer, but that's years down the road. He still has big plans in store for his senior year.
Next year, I've decided to take on the role as the executive team reporter, so I'm going to work with our administration to make sure that we can promote more of events and building a brand. So I'm taking my skills from yearbook journalism and TV Pro and putting them to use to benefit our school community.
Faculty members look forward to seeing what he can accomplish.
He's reliable and he will get the job done.
In Plymouth, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
Drew hasn't decided on a college yet, but as you heard, he does plan to study media or journalism. So watch out, Alex.
Yeah.
He could be up here.
That's right.
Good luck. Still ahead. Now you see it, now you don't. We'll take you to the new exhibit in Robbinsdale.
But first, pro fisherman Terry Tuma shares his thoughts about this weekend's big fishing opener. John Jacobson is in next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. The Maple Grove boys tennis team is having a solid season, but recently lost top player Sam Hochberger to a season-ending injury. Crimson felt that loss as they battled Elk River with the Northwest Suburban Conference title at stake. At number 3 singles, Elk River's Tommy Chuba fires an ace serve on his way to a 6-1, 7-6 win over Harrison Schindel of Maple Grove. Second singles, Maple Grove's Josh Miller serves up a winner here. Ryan Hermanson of the Elks prevails 6-3, 6-2. Ben Bakke serves at number 1 singles, but Elk River's Tyler Creelman return winner on his way to a win as the Elks sweep singles play. First doubles, Maple Grove is in the near court. Davis Pfaff will put it away as he and Billy Ehlers win in straight sets over Joe O'Connell and Joey Eberle. That's Maple Grove's only win of the day. Elk River's Connor Bazal and Teo Larson win in the number 2 doubles match. Elk River takes it 6-1. Friday night, under the lights at Maple Grove Middle School, the Osseo and Maple Grove softball teams will play their annual regular season game. It's all part of the 13th annual Osseo-Maple Grove softball extravaganza.
The 9th grade and B teams play at 5 o'clock. The JV plays at 6, and then the varsity plays at 7. And the varsity is preceded by honoring the seniors and parents. Yeah, it's a great chance to get together and honor the seniors too, because these girls, this is their last year playing softball together.
Maple Grove won last year's game, beating Osseo 6-5 in 13 innings on a night with a temperature in the mid-30s. Aside from the games played here, the night is also a fundraiser and an awareness night for cancer and cancer research.
The program that we've decided to go with many years ago is Pay It Forward Fund, and anything that we raise in the sale of t-shirts, concessions, whatever, goes to Pay It Forward Fund. So it became a bigger thing than just the rivalry together. It became an awareness of cancer.
The Orioles and Crimson varsity play at 7 o'clock Friday night at Maple Grove Middle School. The walleye opener is this weekend in Minnesota, which brings thousands of anglers out to Minnesota's lakes. I caught up with CCX Sports fisherman Terry Tuma to ask him about the prospects for the opener.
I think we're going to have a really strong bite, John, especially with the way the spring and the spawn period took place with you know, the mild, shall we say, mild March. So walleyes did spawn, they're completed, and then what happens is they go to a recuperating period, and then they'll start to move away from the spawning ground. So, and then that means that they're going to be in that late post-spawn, if you will. So the feeding bag really starts to take place. They're going to feed, and I anticipate throughout the whole state we're going to see a very good, strong walleye bite.
For mid-May, what usually works best for catching walleyes as far as bait and lures?
Well, generally speaking, live bait, leeches, and not so much crawlers yet. I would wait a little bit. Minnows, meaning fatheads, shiners, and red tails. And then along with that, too, trolling crankbaits are extremely productive, even though people will say that, well, the water temperature is too cold. It is not too cold. Crankbaits work at 40-degree plus water temperatures.
The Governor's Fishing Opener this year on the Mississippi River and the St. Cloud area. I know you're a big fan of river fishing. Outside of the current, what are the challenges that anglers have to worry about when
they're out on the river as opposed to a lake.
I just had a conversation with somebody else that's talking about river fishing. You know, they go out there and they don't have any success. They say, I'll never fish the river again. I heard that many, many times. And the biggest concern is the water table, or the water levels, I should say. If it's rising or falling, that's a little tougher bite. You still can catch fish, but you're going to have to work a little bit harder. If the water level is stable, then it's extremely productive.
Thanks, Terry. And a reminder, there's live high school baseball tonight, Thursday on CCX, as Osseo hosts Armstrong at 7 o'clock. That's it for sports. Shannon and Alex, back to you.
All right, thanks, John. Up next, two different art worlds collide in Robbinsdale.
Plus, a good gift idea for Mom on Mother's Day. We'll be right back. Just in time for Mother's Day, the annual Hennepin Tech plant sale is underway in Brooklyn Park. It's a tradition for the students in the school's landscape and horticulture department who spend all year planning, planting, and preparing for the sale. This year, there's plenty of succulents and thousands of other varieties of flowering plants and vegetables.
It's this wonderful sunny weekend, and it's not something that people get to experience all the time, being in a working greenhouse. So, and just seeing your growers face to face, because the students here are your growers.
The plant sale runs until Saturday at 7 p.m. And finally, now you see it, now you don't.
That's the title of Gallery 5004's latest show in Robbinsdale. Neil Persley takes us there.
So what it is it's taking the social realism paintings of Glenn Ranney, and they're almost colliding here with the abstract expressionist paintings of Elof Whedon.
Both of these Minnesota artists lived in the mid-20th century and were very prolific in their art. Glenn Ranney was born in 1896 and Elof Whedon was born in 1901.
In the 20s, their work was very, very similar. This is Elof Whedon from 1928, and you can see the similar style in two of Glenn Ranney's paintings.
But that is where the similarity ends. Glenn Ranney stayed in a social realism style throughout his career.
Here are some women that are just discussing the issues of the day, kind of right in the middle of an 80-acre farm. You know, you can see the farm in the background here, and so that's kind of social realism.
Elof Whedon wasn't always an abstract expressionist, but then later in his life,
it was kind of like bam. All of a sudden, this explosion of color and all these abstract paintings.
Now, believe it or not, Elof Whedon's paintings were always based on what he was looking at.
This was his kind of spontaneous reaction, or his feelings, his spontaneous emotion that he captured in this painting by the hillside that he was looking at.
Now you see the landscape, now you don't. This exhibit highlights two important Minnesota artists of the last century and is a treat to come see. At Gallery 5004 in Robbinsdale, Neil Persley, CCX News.
And you can see the exhibit on Friday and Saturday.
We will see you back here on Friday.